Ahoy, ladies, gents, and NBs. Welcome to the Last Save Lounge, a weekly interview show all about the games that saved our progress and a little bit of us. I am your host, Aaron Turbo Hoodie Amendola, and gosh, I'm happy you're here. If you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and click whatever doodly-doo you gotta do to subscribe to the show and help it become a giant, unwieldy podcast kaiju. New episodes every Tuesday, wherever you get your podcasts, with clips and video episodes on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. This week, I am joined by Chelsea of Chelsea Blossom Games. And on top of her incredible customizations to her Steam Deck and Switch, which I'm never able to replicate, she keeps followers up to date with her videos that are also cozy and relatable. You can catch her streaming Lies of P on her channels right now. You can find her online at Chelsea Blossom Games on TikTok and Instagram. Chelsea, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks, Aaron, for having me. And yes, Lies of P, the notorious cozy game, the quintessential.
Are you a Pinocchio fan, or did you just need another Soulsborne game?
Man, I wouldn't say that I'm a Pinocchio fan, but I had so many people in my community tell me oh, you played Sekiro, you gotta play Lies of P. And I feel like I would love to talk about this more as we continue through the episode, but Sekiro really changed my life as a gamer. It changed my whole brain chemistry as a gamer. And so I feel like the last year has been really me developing my skill set and just playing harder stuff. But it's really funny because I think I started making content about cozy games, mostly because that's a lot of what the gaming niche has been on my feeds, at least.
Mm-hmm. I give you credit because I beat Demon Souls years ago. Oh my God, I'm so old. I beat it when I was in college, and I got out of the Soulsborne games for a little bit, came back to Sekiro, and I was like, oh, cool, I'm not that person anymore. I can't do it. But you have sort of jumped in, you moved off the pier and went 3 miles into the ocean and jumped in with both feet. Because those are games that, I understand when you say they altered your brain chemistry, you're counting frames, you're looking at the animations, trying to get in there. Can you tell me a little bit more about how that game altered your brain chemistry?
Yeah. So I was a notorious button masher in games, and any game that required combat. Definitely, it was not a Smash player. The technicalities of trying to get all of those button combinations within literally frames was that's not for me. That doesn't sound very interesting. But so the reason that I decided to play Sekiro was because there was this fantastic video essay from a YouTuber called Superdude who was talking about knowledge-based unlocks in video games. Talked about 3 games, and one of them was Sekiro, which I had never heard of before. I knew that it was a FromSoft game, but beyond that, I was how is a fighting game like that a knowledge-based unlock game? And it honestly just boils down to that Sekiro is a rhythm game. And I was okay, cool. I grew up playing Dance Dance Revolution, and that was my rhythm game of choice when I was in middle school. And yeah, I just was okay, well, that's really curious. I hadn't made that connection before. I hadn't watched any gameplay of Sekiro. So eventually when I was trying to figure out what games I was going to stream, I was okay, I think I have the time and the patience to actually learn how to do it. And now I'm kind of obsessed with it. I did a second. Yeah, it's just addictive. I'm actually kind of interested in going back to do a second playthrough because I want to know from the year it's been since I first played Sekiro how much better I am now that I've played some harder things like Silk Song, Clair Obscur, Expedition 33. I did a second playthrough of on Expert because I was how bad is the parry timing actually in this game?
Sure.
And now with Lies of P, which also has I think from what I understand, the smallest parry window in any video game. So I was all right, time to see what's up. So.
Okay, so you said 2 things there that I want to pick up on. One, you hinted that maybe Clair Obscur has more difficult parries than Sekiro. Is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, then I can play Sekiro. Then I can do
totally.
it. Because I've beaten Simon. I cried during it, but I can do Sekiro then. And 2, I didn't realize I was in the midst of a fellow DDR player. That was my workout in high school. I was on a competitive DDR team. I knew Dynamite Rave Expert front to back. What?
Oh my God, that's crazy.
I was a psycho. What was your favorite DDR song?
Oh my gosh. I actually have a playlist of songs
Hell
that I
yeah.
usually go to. The games that I remember playing were Supernova and Supernova 2 were
Nice.
my bread and butter. I usually, whenever there's like an arcade, I go to a lot of like gaming conventions. So if they happen to have a DDR machine, I'm like, these are my 3 songs. And if I'm not dead by the end of those 3 songs, I might do one more round. We'll do 3 more songs.
Hmm.
It's like, it starts off with Double A by DJ Amuro. And then
Killer, killer.
it's such a good song. The second song is kind of like a how tired am I? Do I want to punish myself with something hard like Number 13 or just like something that's like really upbeat? And then I usually end with Zephyr because the last act of that song, the combos get so ridiculous that I'm honestly just winging it. It's like 16th notes at that point, and I'm like, I'm hoping for the best. That's my
I
playset.
am so happy. I don't think anyone on the show has even touched DDR yet, but like now I need to go back on Spotify. I need to build that playlist. I have 4 seasons and I'm just counting gallops in my head now.
Yup.
And that brings me back. That's fantastic. That makes me so happy. One of the reasons I wanted to ask you to be on the show is because I was on TikTok or Instagram, I can't remember which one, but you stumbled upon something that I have actually been wondering about for a while. Why don't gamers want more slow burn romances in their games? Because Final Fantasy 16, Clive and Jill, I love that will they, won't they? And watching you react to it, I was like, finally, someone gets it. What was it about that romance in 16 that really got to you?
I think that was also the first time that I recognized this type of love story in a video game because when you reached out to me to talk about it, you were like, are there any other games that have this kind of romance in it? And I was like, I don't know. I
Not
honestly
really.
couldn't think of one that I had like personally played. And I'm a huge reader. I love fantasy books, romantasy books, of
You're in
course.
that Sarah J. Moss track right now.
Yeah, yeah. And like I'm just like, well, I want to know, and I really enjoyed ACOTAR. But I was like, yeah, I feel like a lot of video games maybe have like attraction and like lusting. Like I haven't played Date Everything, but I heard that game is a riot.
But you'd love it, yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. Or maybe there's like a lot more like familial or like friendship types of love. Like my favorite game series of all time is Kingdom Hearts. And I got to replay all of the games last year. And I was like thinking about the relationship that Sora and Kairi and Sora and Riku have. And I'm like, oh God, it gets me every time.
Yeah.
But I don't think I had seen a relationship like carry over decades and to like
Hmm.
have 2 characters reunite and get to like actually spend time together. And like, again, like you said, that will they be able to like conquer this thing that is bigger than themselves to actually give themselves a chance to explore this? Like, God, like that's the type of stuff I love in books. So I don't know why they aren't in more video games.
It kills me. Like I'm still waiting on the Jill DLC for 16. I know nobody has announced it, but trust me, it's coming because if it doesn't, I'll die. There is something about that over time aspect that you talked about because you meet Clive and Jill at such a young age and there's
Yeah.
like a hint of it
Right.
and then you fast forward a little bit and you're like, "Oh, something's developed." Maybe it's not totally said, but I I really love games that open themselves up to that breadth of emotion aside from just combat, aside from just a dialogue tree. I don't know if you played Life is Strange, but it really captures that high school crush dynamic. I want more games to have that slow burn. And it seems like they can only really exist in RPGs. But even thinking about something like, I don't know if you played Gone Home, you kind of get this sense of this romance blossoming over time, but it's filled with this tinge of dread
Yeah.
because you're like, did they escape? Are they going to be able to get out? And thank God they did. But I just want that in more games. I'm like desperate for it at this point.
And I think it was also like this, that it was mutual, right? Like
Hmm.
when I remember those opening cutscenes because the game starts in a prologue and seeing that and being like, was there something there? I don't want to project like that there could be something there, right? And then the game progresses and that it is like a mutual yearning that not only is it like we get one hint of it at the beginning and then like this like explosive thing at the end, like there are moments that they get to share that feel so earnest that I don't think I've seen in a game. And I think it was really well handled. Like I was constantly rooting for them as well as like rooting for individual characters to overcome the challenges that this world presents to them. It just felt
Yeah.
so special.
Yeah, you said the word yearning. Like that is what's in those romantasy books that games are missing. And even in games like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, well, Mass Effect specifically, you can carry the same romance over 3 games, but there's still individual games where there's like a beginning, middle, and end to that romance. It's not like, oh, you didn't get with Liara this game, maybe it'll happen next game. But Final Fantasy, they really just stretch out that taffy. It's fantastic. So good. So good. So I wanted to ask because I noticed that you switch between these cozy games and these kind of opposite of cozy games. Like you really seem to like the sweet spot of having a cozy game that gives you a lot to do but isn't overbearing. So can you tell me what's the sweet spot between being too stressful and too cozy in a game of that genre?
Man, I think maybe I'm not the quintessential cozy gamer because I tend to make cozy games pretty damn stressful, if I had to be honest. I
We're all type A gamers. I get it. Yeah.
I think so. I remember playing Animal Crossing New Horizons during the pandemic and having a community of friends to just like play and like be on all the time and like visiting each other's islands. We'd do catalog parties where we would like drop off all the items we had and then you'd pick them all up so that you could buy them in your own shopping app on your own island.
You also try to negotiate the price of
Yeah, the stock market for turnips.
yeah, stocks,
Yeah.
turnips. Oh my.
Yeah, I'm definitely a multimillionaire in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
I was like that kind of person. And um, I love Stardew Valley. I played Harvest Moon on my DS. It was one of like my quintessential games as a kid. And so when like Stardew Valley came out in 2016, I was like, oh my God, this is Harvest Moon, but
Mhm.
like modern and cool and like so robust. Like there's so many things you can do in Stardew Valley, but I had never made it past spring year 2 in like a file of my own. I think that's just because of I played it a lot in college, so it was just like life at the time. I didn't have enough time
Mhm.
to do it. And then when I started making content, it was maybe a couple years after the 100 days challenges starting showing up in Stardew Valley, where people would challenge themselves to do as much as they could in 100 days, in-game days. And I was like, wow, that's like a really cool challenge. And I think I can do that. Like, I think I would want to both do the challenge and like play through it and then make a video out of it. And so I did. And I was like, I'm going to see how many 100-day cycles it'll take me to get to 100% in Stardew Valley, which requires a lot of like planning and like min-maxing and trying to figure out how to like finish the community center. My goal was to finish the community center within my first year. And I think I got to like my first week of fall before I realized I was severely behind.
So you're like, I have to start over.
I
I
was like,
can't do this.
do I have to start over? Like, can I actually salvage this in some way? And I managed to do it. And that was really satisfying. Yeah, I think I personally find a lot of joy in like making something cozy and being like, yeah, but like, can I turn it up to 100? Like that
Mhm.
part is the fun part for me. I don't know if you feel similarly. Do you tend to do that?
I have always been on the outside looking in with cozy games until recently, because my sister-in-law loves Stardew Valley, and I've tried to get into it multiple times, and I always get like a month in, and then I get a little bored and stop playing. But have you played Pocopia yet?
Yep. Yes, I have.
I turned into a freaking goblin because I love Pokemon. And the moment I was like, oh, I could build like a sky sanctuary for all my bird Pokemon, and I can make a waterfall home for all my water Pokemon. I I literally ran my Switch 2 down to like 0% battery multiple times a day, and it became a problem. It became a problem so much that I went from trying to persuade my wife to play with me to, here, look at the cool thing I made, to, please don't start playing because you're going to get wrapped into this with me. And, I have put like 300 hours into that game, but I needed to have all the evolutions in one area, and then I needed to make all the trees in one space so I could get all the fruit all at once. And at some point, I was like, is this cozy? Like, is making it so efficient cozy for me? And the answer is yes, but I got to take a break. So I'm not super good with my time management with Pocopia, but I'm fully in on it now. And I want to go back to Stardew. I want to go back to some of those other cozy games because I feel like I get it now. Like I understand what makes those games click for me.
And like setting goals, like the game, I think the beauty of cozy games is that there isn't objectives, like in typical
Hmm.
games, right? Where you're like, go and do this quest and talk to this person, right? Like cozy games are so open-ended, which is beautiful. But I'm like, I need a little bit of guidance. I need somewhere where I need to go, right? So setting those goals, like I'm going to build a tree farm so that I can harvest all the fruit with a click of a button. Like
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
definitely making those things in Pokopia too. And then I kind of burnt out because I got really overwhelmed at the process of decorating. I was like, the Japanese like Pokopia community is crazy. They can make such incredible stuff. And I was
It's
like,
not
okay,
fair.
it's literally not fair. So I was like, okay, well, my goals are going to be I want to unlock all the recipes before I start decorating. And I think I want to try to get all of the Pokemon, which I think I'm at about like 220 out of
Yeah,
maybe
that's
300.
manageable.
Yeah, and it gives me a
Yeah.
reason to go back to the game and not be like, and you have to like visit every single island so you can like like unlock all the recipes and stuff. I was like, oh, it's too much.
And there's a creator named Zoibean, ZOI Bean. They're from Milan and they make the most incredible habitats. And so I've been using her videos as inspiration, but I know how you feel. Like until I get all the recipes, I don't feel like I can start.
Mhm.
So I'm constantly having this discussion in my head of like perfect is the enemy of good. So like I should just make something good and then later on I can make it perfect because I compare myself to all these other creators when really the coziest thing is going to be this shitty little waterfall home that I make and not this like something else that somebody else did. I can always take inspiration, but I decided I wanted to make like my house in Pocopia and I wanted to make our dog a growlithe and I wanted to have a little room for my daughter and like that is my project now and it's so fun just having little goals for myself. I totally agree with you there. Speaking of cozy games, I wanted to talk to you about Crime Scene Cleaner. How do you go from cozy to like cleaning up blood? I know you love this game. And I've been so curious about it. Does that scratch the cozy itch for you as well?
It definitely, no aspect of that game is cozy. So I'll just be forthright with it. But you know what? I haven't played Power Wash Simulator. And so I felt
Okay.
like my entry into cleaning stuff up was Crime Scene Cleaner. It was a game that was recommended to me for Spooktober. And I was like, okay, I feel like that fits in the genre of a spooky-ish, creepy-ish game. So yeah, there's just something very, very satisfying. Also gruesome because you're just like cleaning up crime scenes for the mob. But I think maybe one cozy aspect of those games is that there's also like an organization aspect to them. So one
Hmm.
of the levels in Crime Scene Cleaner is you're cleaning up this really fancy museum. So you have to like put all of the art pieces back. And there's like 10 different exhibits. There's like a dinosaur exhibit, a furniture exhibit. So you'll like find bones in random places and you're like, well, I got to go put the T-Rex back
Are
together.
these human bones or the dinosaur?
Fantastic question. So maybe I think as that aspect of organizing can be cozy. There's a lot of
Hmm.
organization games that are very cozy, like A Little to the Left or
Oh, that's super
Unpacking.
good.
But yeah, with a twist.
Yeah, and unpacking, it's so interesting the way that they reveal the story through the environment in that game. Really, really love what games are doing with just the geography of a small space in order to tell something like that. Chelsea, I want to get into your favorite game of all time because I told you before I'm very excited about it, but I want to go back real quick and then we'll take a break. You said that you originally played Harvest Moon on the DS. It sounds like you have a history with some of these games. What was your first system?
My first system was a PlayStation 1. So I was
Nice.
definitely a PlayStation kid growing up. Thank God, because that's how I got DDR. But it's interesting because I can't remember exactly playing certain games, but like my parents would recount to me like, "Oh, you loved this game." Like I think Crash Bandicoot, I think was on
Nice.
PS1, or there was this like Winnie the Pooh game that my mom always loves talking about of being like, "This game was like so cute." And I think if I went home, I think we still have like the CD for it, so I could like look at it and kind of jog a memory. But it's this like combination of having somebody tell me that this is what happened, and then like trying to see if there are memories associated with it. But yeah, I think the biggest memories I have though are definitely PS2 and like switching out your memory cards, sitting close enough to the TV so that your controller could actually plug in. And man, what a blast.
A whole nother time, right? Like when I think about my daughter's 2.5. but we get her to play Mario Kart with the little Joy-Con, and she can sit on the couch way far away from the TV. And I'm like, you don't know how good you have it. Like, we had a 5-foot cord. Just you saying that brings back these sleepover nights of playing Crash Bandicoot.
And then being yelled at to be like, don't sit so close to the TV. And it's like, well, I can't reach with my controller if I don't.
Yeah, like, you did this to me, Mom and Dad. It just brings me back. It paints a really pretty portrait in my head. We'll tell you what, I'm going to go to our mid-show. I'm going to ask people for $1. And when we come back, we'll talk about your favorite game. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. The Last Save Lounge is supported by Patreon at patreon.com/hoodieweather. By supporting Hoodie Weather, patrons get a bonus segment each week, a bundle of Hoodie Weather tabletop games, and ad-free episodes in your feeds. If times are tough, I think you are too. You can still support The Last Save Lounge by subscribing to the show right now. Remember, we want to be a giant, unwieldy podcast kaiju. We are at like Mothra level. We want to get up to Godzilla, then Mecha Godzilla. By having more subscribers, we can attract more guests and listeners. Also, be sure to rate and review us on your podcast app of choice. Tell your friends, tell your rivals. We are not picky. And if you're joining us after the mid-show, if you skipped over, I can't blame you. That's what I do. We are joined by Chelsea of Chelsea Blossom Games, and we're about to figure out her favorite game of all time. So here comes the question. Chelsea, what is your favorite game of all time?
My favorite game of all time is Outer Wilds.
Hell yeah. Tell me more.
Outer Wilds was a game that I thought I would never be able to play again because once you know the shtick of that game, you can beat it immediately. So I played this game back in 2024. It's been a couple of years now. And I just loved the exploration process of this game. I think it was such a unique way of storytelling, of discovery. I'm a big sci-fi fan, so just getting to fly my little spaceship through space and actually have to deal with gravitational forces and like crashing into stuff. But I think it tells a really beautiful story, and it's a knowledge-based game. So earlier I was talking about Sekiro being a game that like changed my brain chemistry, but I had watched this video essay that was talking about these like knowledge-based unlocks. I guess in order to like compare that to something else, Metroidvanias tend to have a way to make sure you can't access certain areas of the game unless you have a specific skill. So for example, in Hollow Knight, if you can't reach like a certain ledge, it's probably because you don't have the ability to do that yet. And then you continue to explore and play the game. And then maybe you unlock double jump. And then you're like, oh, cool. Now I know I can go and get to that ledge. So the game like explicitly tells you, here's a skill. Here's how you use it. Now go back to that area and progress the game. But knowledge-based games are really interesting because instead of having like a skill set as the thing that allows you to progress in the game gives you everything. And the thing that progresses the game is like you figuring stuff out. So without like talking spoilers about Outer Wilds, I think knowing that the entire galaxy is open to you and your job is to explore, discover, figure out what happened to this ancient civilization that inhabits your solar system before you did. There's archaeological discovery, there's tragedy because of being like, well, they're not here anymore. So like, what happened to them?
Mm-hmm.
And then just being like, okay, well, now I've gotten the chance to like explore everything. Here's how I'm going to beat the game. It was just such a magical experience in a pretty short amount of time. I think I beat the game in like 20 hours.
Wow. Yeah. Compared to me, I think I just liked being in space. I just like flying around. When you said that Sekiro was a knowledge-based game, immediately I was like, duh, Outer Wilds. There's something really beautiful about when you start that game, everything, at least to me, terrifying because you can die so easily. You need to get oxygen. You need to repair your ship. But the more you play, the more you learn. And suddenly these previously terrifying things aren't so scary anymore. And I try to think about that in everyday life. If I'm scared of something, maybe I just don't know enough about it. And I think that's such a beautiful aspect of that game. Yeah, I really, really just admire so many things about that game. You talked about the exploration of Outer Wilds. Do you remember any particular discovery, maybe without getting into too big of spoilers, that really had a light bulb go off in your head?
Yes, it's one of the things that allows you to like quote unquote beat the game. And I think going back, like Outer Wilds again is like once you know how to beat the game, you can do it like right away from the get-go. So I thought this was a game that I was never going to have the opportunity to replay again because I'm like, that's a one-time play, of course. And in a group of friends, we're doing an achievement grind right now where we get to pick a game, whatever game that we want, and try to get all the achievements. And some of the folks were playing Outer Wilds. I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I don't have most of the achievements in this game, so I'm just going to get to go back to the game, but I'm not going to have to like replay the whole thing. I booted up my file and I was like, I literally forgot everything.
Forgot everything.
I forgot everything.
Just how to fly that ship.
Yeah. Like how to fly the ship. Like I definitely landed somewhere else in space and then I jumped out of my ship. I forgot to put my spacesuit on, died immediately. Like I was like, wow, I literally forgot everything about this game. So that thing, like when people are like, I wish I could like forget that movie, forget that book just to experience it all over again. I never thought I was going to have it with Outer Wilds. So it was such a delight to get to re-experience the game and achievement hunt and like go for like some of the harder challenges. Like there is a satellite that orbits very close to the sun and there's an achievement where you're supposed to land on it with your ship. And I was like, I'm going to figure out how to do that. And that was very satisfying. Even like playing the DLC, I realized I hadn't ever played the DLC on my first playthrough. So I think with the recency bias of playing this game again, I'm like, this game is so good because it really captures that exploration. Your curiosity is rewarded almost every single time. You're like, how do I do that? And then you try something out and it actually works out. But I think those things obviously stick with me and make it my favorite game. But I think similar to what you were saying, Aaron, of relating it back to real life and wanting to be like, oh, you know what? Like if I can't figure this thing out, like the curiosity and like the exploration is part of the journey. Like it's not just beating the game. That's the process. It's the entire exploration part that is the rewarding aspect of it that I will come back to and be like, okay, if I'm having a hard time, that's part of the process. And that's really encouraging to me.
Yeah, every little win feels like a massive triumph. Like just remembering to put your remembering to put your suit on, remembering exactly how the physics works, remembering how if you land on a planet that has giant hurricanes, how to navigate through that. And all of these little wins, I really felt like a master technician when I played it, which is why I was so heartbroken when Echoes of the Eye came out. I was in the middle of my paternity leave and I was like, I don't have a chance to get back into this. So I watched somebody stream it, but there's something about the sense of accomplishment. Like you're literally solving a galaxy problem. And I don't know how everyone interprets the end. I won't get into anything, but there's a certain amount of coming to terms with what has happened and what you have to do that felt very peaceful for me. And it was legitimately the last game I played before lockdown of the pandemic. And so I don't know if that helped or hurt, but being isolated in space, trying to solve an unsolvable problem felt like the best game that I could have played at that time. I made a video about this that's going to go live, but that's not the right arm. I got the theme of Outer Wilds tattooed on me. So like that, da 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 da, and it's become like a serenity prayer.
My eyes are welling up because one of the many incredible things about Outer Wilds is its music. Anytime I hear again, getting to come back to the game and be like, I get to be here, right? And like the music is so important in the storytelling of the game, right? So there's like a very important mechanic in the game that I won't spoil for people because I think it is kind of a spoiler, but there's a specific
it really is, the less
jingle
you
that
know,
comes
the
on.
better.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, when that jingle comes on, I was both like sad, but also kind of relieved every single time. I'm like, okay, all right, I guess we're okay.
Is there anything about your first time playing through that game that you remember going on in your life? Like, do you associate that with a specific time or specific memory at all?
I think that's probably one of the other reasons why I come back to this game so much in my memories is I was working for like a summer job and it was a really hectic time period. We're probably working like 80 to like 100 hours a week. It's just a lot of time. And I still managed to play this game. It definitely was like a place of comfort for me for maybe like 2 weeks. And so, yeah, like it was the carrot that I was chasing of having something to look forward to be like, well, now I have all of these questions that I want to answer after like getting tidbits of information from finding these like archaeological sites. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I also think Outer Wilds does such a great job of not being too challenging. I did have to look up hints for a couple of things, but I think for the most part, like the game does a good job of like laying everything out for you and it's your responsibility to put the pieces together, but like all the puzzle pieces are there. I don't know if you felt the same way.
No, I did. I kind of felt like Charlie Day with the map behind him because I was like, I have this piece of information and I know it must correlate to this, but there's something missing. And I would have just a constant influx of these aha moments where, like, oh, finally I can put this together, but that unwraps an even bigger mystery. And there's something about the chase that is so exciting for me. And especially when, it's so nice to solve a problem of that scale that doesn't affect you. Like it's the same reason why my wife and I love watching Gilmore Girls because they're like, these problems aren't problems. Go have dinner at your mom's place. Like your problems aren't problems. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Let me solve this big mystery. But hearing about the Nomai in the game, and you need to discover what's happened to them. You discover their hopes and their fears and their wants and their needs, and most likely did not end well, but you're picking up that work and you're completing the puzzle for them. Something about that felt very, very fulfilling. So I don't typically do this, but Outer Wilds is your favorite game, which means I have to tell you, if you haven't played it yet, you would love, nay, adore Blueprints. Have you played it?
I love Blueprints. It's
Okay.
fantastic. I feel like I don't know if this is still available as like a Steam bundle, but there is a Steam bundle called Hidden Gems. That's like a collection of games like Outer Wilds. One of my other favorite games is Tunic.
Oh,
That's actually the third game in this like video essay I keep coming back to of knowledge base unlocks. And I was like, well, I loved, so I think I'm going to love Outer Wilds. And then you know what? I'm going to challenge myself and play Sekiro. But Blueprints is in that bundle and I've played so much Blueprints. One of the videos that I'm working on right now is another 100 days challenges, but in Blueprints.
nice.
Because I just wanted to challenge myself to be like, okay, well, how deep can these puzzles actually go? And the
Uh-huh.
answer is so much deeper than you think. Because I think I'm maybe like 100 hours into the game and I'm like, I don't know. I think there's still like questions I have in that game.
Yeah, I
This is
never know when it's done.
Yeah. When am I done? Like, it's, I didn't start doing this until actually I started playing Tunic that I can remember, but, Tunic and now Blueprints are both games that I have a physical notebook for where I was taking notes. I think that's just like such a cool thing to do to like scribble something down. Obviously, if you're playing on like any console, you can take screenshots of things and come back to them. But I think there's something obviously very tangible about being like, I have like 10 different to-dos like listed and then like crossed out and then rewritten as you're like continuing to progress through the game. But I would love to hear your experience with Blueprints.
Oh, it kind of comes back to Outer Wilds, but I played Outer Wilds and I was like, credits rolled and I'm like bawling. And my wife came home, found me bawling. And I was like, you have to start this game. And I watched her play all of it. So when Blueprints was coming out, I was like, what if we both get notebooks? And what if we start at the same time? Like, we've been married for 8 years now, and it's like the most romantic thing we've ever done. I was playing on a portal, she was playing on the TV, and we would like have dinner and compare notes and like try to help each other with it was chef's kiss. That feeling of exploration and specifically journaling really brought me a lot of peace. Are you the type of person that is going to keep on doing that? Because Tunic, I can totally see where that works. Is that something you'll pick up for maybe Soulsborne games in the future?
Yeah, I think it depends maybe how desperate I'm feeling in a game with like trying to like remember everything. Cause I think I started Blueprints and then I was like, oh, whatever. And then at some point it just started getting out of hand and I was like, well, I gotta start writing stuff down. So maybe not for every single game. For Stardew Valley, when I was doing 100 days challenges, I actually made like a whole Notion like
Oh my
database to like
God.
keep track of everything. And then I like made that available for people if they ever wanted to do that for themselves and just like track everything. But yeah, I think these like type of puzzle games where the game doesn't explicitly ever tell you or keep track of those things internally, I think
Hmm.
it obviously makes sense to keep some type of record keeping system in place. Earlier this year, I also played Animal Well, which is in that like Steam bundle. And I was like, I should have kept a physical journal for Animal Well. I don't know why I didn't do that.
It's so unassuming because I hit a wall with Animal Well, left for a week, and I could not go back. And you're right. I should have kept a journal because I think I got like the frisbee or whatever. And I'm like, I know I have to do something with this, but there's only so much time I have as a
Mhm.
parent. Like I never play on a TV anymore. If I can stream the game, I'm always doing that. I need that Notion doc because the more I talk to people on this show, Stardew Valley keeps coming up, and I'm like, I know I'm gonna love it. I know I'm gonna love it. I just need to pick a platform, whether it be Steam Deck, Switch, or PlayStation, and go for it. And if I put it on mobile, I'll die. Like I just won't get anything done. I'll cease to be. Um, have you played The Root Trees Are Dead?
No.
It is, or like Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yes, love that game.
So it's closer to that, but The Root
Ooh,
Trees
okay.
Are Dead. Everything you're telling me, this is like right up your alley. Like this is the next Chelsea Blossom game. There's so many games. I just want to be like, did you play this? Did you play this? But that's not good podcasting. I do want to wrap up though. But Chelsea, this has been an absolute delight. Again, before we get to the last question, we can find you online at Chelsea Blossom Games on TikTok, Instagram. Just put it in Google. You're going to get everything in there. Chelsea, if you had to recommend a game in the style of the games that we've been talking about, what would you recommend people?
Whoa.
It's a big question.
That's a
You
huge
can take your
question.
time.
Yeah, I was thinking about it and I was like, I think my favorite genre of games are these like games where you can keep a notebook.
Mhm.
I think I find the most pleasure in those types of games. Obviously, there's like a time and a place for like a cozy game, whether you play it cozily or if you like min-max it, or these like challenge games. I want to do a Steel Soul run in Silk Song, which is, if you're not
Now, what is
aware,
that?
yeah, a Steel Soul run in Hollow Knight and in Silk Song is if you die forever for your whole file. So it's a permadeath.
Oh, it's like honor mode in Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes, yep. So
Whew.
once you're dead, you're dead. And I have most of the achievements in Silk Song except for the permadeath ones. So I was like, ooh, that feels like a really big step up. But I feel like, again, that like tickles a different part of my brain than the puzzle games, than like the cozy games.
Yeah, you're a masochist. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Now that like talking about games is like my full-time job. But I honestly do think that Outer Wilds is a really, well, okay, hold on. I wanted to, because I'm like trying to be like, how accessible is Outer Wilds? Like Outer Wilds doesn't tell you anything, right? I think the hard thing I had with Animal Well was the same thing, is like it doesn't tell you anything. So you have to have some experience with games in order to like feel competent in them.
Sure.
So I'm thinking about maybe people who are like coming from the cozy game space to be like, how can I get you into something else and not have it feel so like frustrating and be like, well, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know if you've seen like the series. There's a couple of YouTubers who do it now, but where they like ask their partner or their girlfriend or their wife to like play games for the first time and like document that experience. I feel like I learned a lot watching those videos because I'm a lifelong gamer. You're a lifelong gamer. I feel like I think as an adult, it's hard. You don't have somebody who's like, you have to press A in order to swim in Mario, right? Like nobody's there holding your hand. So I'm trying to think.
When my wife and I met, she was way more into the board game space than I was, and we kind of crossed over for a little bit. But she was very gung ho about learning to play video games, and the hardest thing for her was navigating in a 3D space because she
Mm.
had played like Mario, she played Donkey Kong, like she played Pokemon like nobody's business. But trying to play Bioshock, having a twin stick, like one for movement, one for camera, was the biggest thing for her to overcome.
Yeah.
And then when she got it, she was like the juggernaut. She played like all the best games of all time. And then she was like, what's left? But it is, I'm really curious to see those videos because you don't realize what's inaccessible until you do that. Like there are some people that get motion sick. There are some people that don't understand, oh, there's buttons at the top of the controller. It's always a very humbling experience when, I'm asking you to do the thing that people ask me to do, which is like recommend a game. And I'm like, oh gosh, but if I tell you the wrong game, what if it puts you off from the entire hobby? Like this is such an amazing thing for me. I want it to be amazing for you. So I understand the weight of the question.
Yeah.
But yikes.
Yeah. So, yeah, what is an accessible? Because I was like, ooh, Tunic. I love Tunic. Tunic is another game where you're like told nothing. Actually, they
Nothing.
make it purposely difficult for you to find information from the get go.
Well, hey, let's leave it at this. If you're looking for a game to play in this oeuvre, I would say just check out Chelsea's channel because as somebody that's always been Liza P curious, that's been a place I want to get into, especially with the DLC coming out. But, I found your videos through Final Fantasy 16 because I'm a Final Fantasy emo kid at heart. Final Fantasy 8 forever. But so many of the other games that you play on that channel, I think are, even if they're not cozy like Crime Scene Cleaner, you bring a really great welcoming atmosphere. Just the sheer fact that you're trying to think of an accessible game, I think says multitudes about you. So just check out Chelsea's channel. You're bound to find out something that you like.
Thank you so much, Aaron. And you know what? If you are curious and you're down for space stuff, you should play Outer Wilds because I think it'll change your life.
Yeah, like I don't want to overhype it, but it changed mine, and I'm gonna go listen to the music and cry in a corner about it when we're done.
Me too.
Okay, Chelsea, this was such a fun conversation. Thank you for lending me an hour of your time. And thank you, listeners, for joining us here today on the Last Save Lounge. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Remember, subscribe to the show. That helps us grow. The Last Save Lounge is produced by Hoodie Weather, creating comfy games and podcasts broken in like your favorite hoodie. You can support Hoodie Weather by heading to patreon.com/hoodieweather and becoming a patron for just $1. I'll see you all next week where I believe my guest is. I'll edit it in later. I can't remember. But we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, friends.